Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, I'm not the biggest fan of Disney as a company, but if this is the direction that we're headed for Marvel films and for PG-13 Marvel films, then I'm all on board. I'm getting on the bandwagon. Make kids scared of Disney movies again. And today we have Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Before we even get into this, out of the gate, I want to let you know, for any of you that are like-minded like me and absolutely loved Everything Everywhere All at Once, this, in my opinion, still holds the crown and the title for best multiverse film. Period. I went into Doctor Strange, giving it a chance. I'm 100% like, no expectations, unbiased perspective. And in regards to handling the multiversal theory, locations, characters, and all that, it does it well, but not nearly as well as this film. So this still holds the title, still the heavyweight Mayweather fighter over here. I'm sorry, but I wanted to clarify that. Multiverse of Madness. You haven't heard of it? I don't know how. Commercials are playing everywhere. I went to go see a movie just like a week or so ago, and I swear to God, the first 4 or 5 trailers were all for Doctor Strange. I am not going to do any spoilers. I'm not going to get too heavily into this. I want to give my general impressions, tell you how I felt about it, and if I think it's worth your time, and if it's good. That's basically, it's all heavily opinionated, my opinion, but at the same time, it's one of those big blockbuster films. My Marvel movie reviews get bubkiss for views. Nobody cares about this shit, so I don't have a lot to say. I don't have anything new aside from my input that I can contribute to this conversation. If you didn't already know, Multiverse of Madness is directed by, be still my beating heart, Sam Raimi. I love Sam Raimi. Look, I love Sam and Ted, the brothers, the brothers Grimm over here. I love Sam Raimi for a multitude of reasons, namely one of which is one of my favorite cult, classic, horror, survival horror, dark comedy films of all time. Yeah, this shit, he directed all of them. Well, the show, not as much, he helped produce that, but Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, I love them all. Not to mention, I mean, I'm glossing over the other obvious bit though, he directed the Spider-Man trilogy that I grew up with, the OG Tobey Maguire, well, I mean, to me it's the OG, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. Sam Raimi directed those. So yeah, I like a lot of what he does. Not everything he does hits, because people still had their qualms about Spider-Man 3, but overall, I think he has a really good eye behind the camera. I like his style, what he does. I respect him a lot as a producer, because if you go onto his IMDb, he's backed dozens and dozens of movies, some good, some bad, but like, again, both sides of the spectrum. He financially helps to back like a shitload of people's horror films and all that. So to me, through my eyes, yeah, part of that is he's looking for a return on investment, sure, but you don't back something unless you also want to like support it typically. So it's nice to see that as someone who was once a fledgling young director himself, he also likes to support the arts and the industry inherent of that. There's a few people to note in the cast, but the main 2 that I focus on in this case, he's been on the channel before, I think most recently in Power of the Dog, but you have old Benadryl Cumberdinkle right there. I've never seen a bad performance out of him. You kind of know what to expect. Household name, there he is. And you have a kind of sort of newcomer to the big blockbuster scene. She has a filmography, but I believe this is, like, to me, her big debut. Hopefully I'm saying it right. Xochitl Gomez over here. In terms of IMDb, they said like what you might know her from, but there's this series on Netflix called The Babysitter's Club. I ain't watched it, but I'm sure it has its merits. She's in this. As a newcomer, I thought she was great. She reminded me of the gal that was Maria in the new West Side Story. Like, I hadn't heard of you or seen you before, but you appear to have talent, and you're here now. So on the silver screen, props. Good to see you. Welcome to the club. I can't say a whole lot without spoiling most of what happens. First of all, props to the trailers. The trailers I wish more people did this, but I get it, like in terms of like there's a fine line between marketing and laziness and just trying to, with Marvel, Star Wars, Disney stuff, oftentimes they will try to make the trailer to show you what the film is going to be about, but also the trailer will have like tricks, and they'll show characters that aren't in scenes, or CGI this or that away, and kind of like subvert your expectations. I love that shit. I want to go into a movie not knowing like what's going to happen. I don't want to be able to piece the movie together based on scenes from the trailer, or know about big twists or big moments. There's a couple that still kind of slip through the cracks, but for the most part, this trailer did a very good job of telling me like, oh, here's the vibe of the film, but you're not gonna know what happens. And for most of this film, I wasn't sure what direction it was gonna go in, so props there. I'm very biased because I love Evil Dead. Seeing Sam Raimi back behind the camera and directing this whole thing, I don't know what the whole creative, artistic disputes were with the previous director. I didn't read too much into that. So Sam took this on. We all knew that those of us that kind of did the research knew this was going to be skewed more towards like kind of horror. Like, not only because he's versed in that, but this is supposed to be a darker Marvel film. It was supposed to be almost like all-out horror, but there's some lightheartedness and some moments of reprieve here and there. But overall, like I mentioned before I even started this review, this movie is like hard PG-13. I got out with my friends and we were shocked that Disney let this slide. I'm here for it. I'm glad they did. But wow, like impressively so. It felt like there were moments where I was watching Evil Dead again, just kind of like some camera following shots and like warping effects on the screen, and just like the way that certain scenes were shot. I was like, oh, like I knew who's behind the camera, and it was good to me. I didn't think it was cheesy or hokey. I think it was very diegetic to the shots that were going on. It made it fun for me to watch, and back in my mind I was like, yeah, this is this type of thing that I like. So I thought it was great. I liked it. It was definitely, it's one of those Marvel films that felt almost like the least like a Marvel film, but in a good way, if you know what I mean. Like it wasn't as formulaic as something like Captain Marvel might be. Instead, it was something a bit different, like Captain America 2: Winter Soldier, where that movie almost felt like a separate action thriller spy movie, and then this is kind of like, oh, it's a separate like action, almost survival horror. Like it was really cool. I like that. Acting was good. There's a larger cast than just Benedict and Sir Cheadle, but I don't want to get too much into it. I mean, you see them in the trailer. The main ones that you want to pay attention to are in the trailer. Nobody, in my opinion, disappoints. Everybody does a great job. With what they do with the multiverse is pretty cool. It's less about where they go. They go to some interesting-ish places. It's less about where they go and more about who shows up. So it's like, small sections of the movie will feel like Cameo City. I'm not going to say what does or doesn't happen, but you've heard internet whisperings and internet rumors here and there. Some may be true, some may not be true, and that's what I'll leave it at. But that's kind of what it feels like. It feels, if we're talking about everything everywhere all at once, we don't go everywhere. This doesn't happen crazily all at once. Just a little bit of everything, if you know what I'm saying. So, like a third of that movie. Overall, the narrative works. Things do get a little bit crazy in terms of what happens in the film and to people. I was kind of surprised here and there. There were some fun moments. There were some visually stimulated moments. There were some really wacky moments that weren't like stupid wacky. They were just wacky, but they worked for me anyway. I haven't looked up reviews yet. I'm saving that in a couple seconds. The only cons I suppose I have, I don't like movies that rely too much on CGI. This movie doesn't rely too heavily on CGI. It does throughout a good chunk of it. I'm not a fan of when the villains are CGI. Part of why I didn't like Eternals is because a lot of the opposing forces were all just CGI. That's kind of the case with some of the enemies in this film. Not all the enemies are strictly CGI, but it's hard to avoid that these days in your films, especially in your Marvel films, so it's like a necessary evil, but I won't hold it too much against the film. A couple moments here and there were very Deus Ex Machina, just in that, this just happened to work out this way, or what a good happy coincidence that this didn't happen like this, or that happened, and that you said the right words and now this can suddenly happen. A few moments like that. Not too heavily used throughout, but just enough where it's noticeable. I would recommend it. I really enjoyed it. I kind of want to watch it again. There's a lot of good moments throughout it. I think as a film, as a whole, when I saw Spider-Man No Way Home, when I saw Batman, when I saw Everything Everywhere All at Once, I really wanted to go out of my way to see it multiple times. This film, I don't feel a pressing urge or desire to go see it again, but I would watch it again. You know, if someone says, hey, I'm going to go see this again, but in 4D, or hey, I'm going to go check it out in IMAX again, would I come along? Yeah, I'd come along and watch it again, sure. Maybe analyze it a bit, give it a bit more scrutiny than I did before, but I'm not dying to see it again. That being said, though, I don't know if it's like one of my top 5 favorite Marvel films, but I might be coaxed enough to put it in my top 10. There's some like violence and thematic material in this that, as I keep saying, I am so surprised that Disney let it pass. Disney Plus is like, well, we got a hold of Daredevil and Luke Cage and all of this, so I guess we can have some violence back in our Marvel films again. I know Infinity War and Endgame got dark and all this, but I mean, this film pushes the limit sometimes. And again, I'm here for it. I miss dark Disney films, but I hope to see more of this. I really do. It was great. There were moments in this film that felt like they actually had weight to them for once. I was about it. I'm going to give my review, and then for the first time ever, I'm going to look up a review for this. So, out of the gate, my opinion about Multiverse of Madness, or Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, I would say it'd be, all things considered, I would give it a low 4 out of 5. Just off the cuff, a low 4 out of 5. That seems fitting. It's really good. I'd even say it's like a pretty great movie. It wasn't as amazing as of a multiverse film as I would have liked it to be, but I already have something that came out this year to kind of fill that void. So they hype it up a lot, as they often do, and the good news is, although it didn't meet the hype of what they were touting it to be, it was still really good. And I think it just matches kind of right there, right below the hype of like, oh, that wasn't the best multiverse film I've seen, wasn't the best Marvel film I've seen, but it was still really good and worth your time. Definitely give it a look-see in theaters. Before going into it, I was not spoiled. I didn't even see a single review, so I am beyond curious to see what the critics have to say. This is the first time I'm looking it up. Okay, I can see it. I can see it. Okay. At the moment that I'm looking this up, which is, I'm recording this on the Sunday after it came out, 75% from critics, and I'm very happy to see 87% from the audience. I was worried the audience wasn't going to like it. Out of 300 reviews, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness labors under the weight of the sprawling MCU, but Sam Raimi's distinctive direction casts an entertaining spell. I agree. That's kind of what I've been saying. My biggest disappointment about the multiverse concept was that we see like a minute of the possibilities, right? We see like a glimpse of all the possibilities, but only a tease at most. We only go to a few places and we see more people from universes, but we don't actually go to these universes. Hell, the show What If does more with the multiverse than this movie did, so that was a bit of a letdown for me. I wanted to see more in terms of we go here, there's crazy stuff there, but they only touch the surface of it. But I guess it's good, because if they leaned too much into it and handled it not very well, it could have been even worse. I already had a feeling there were going to be mixed reviews on it. I get that. I know where I stand, but I can completely understand people's arguments for it. But at the end of the day, Multiverse of Madness was a fun, dark romp through Marvel's, like, a little bit of Marvel's legacy, but they could have done more, and I kind of wish they would have done more. It got pretty wild here and there, but I would have loved to have seen it just get crazy, like a certain movie I know. As always, thank you guys and gals so much for watching. That was my review of Multiverse of Madness. All 5 of you that are going to watch this one, thank you for the support as always. I've been falling behind on movies. I gotta go see more of the indies, more of the regular ones. I kind of almost took a unintentional week-long sabbatical, but no more. I gotta get back to the grind. So, as always, thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next episode of whatever movie I end up reviewing next. Goodbye, travelers.